Good morning, U.S. Arab Radio listeners. This is Adel Mozip welcoming you. Really appreciate it for those who are joining us online and for those who are joining us on air. Today we're talking about the Read by Third Grade law that was introduced last year and passed at the state legislature. And today I have a guest with me, Mr. Gabriel DellaVecchia. DellaVecchia. He has been a tutor in Baltimore, a teacher for the Peace Corps in South Africa, an English teacher in Japan and Cambodia, a student teacher for second grade and fourth grade in Portland, and third grade teacher in an international baccalaureate school in Denver. He's currently a doctoral student at the University of Michigan, studying literacy, language, and culture at the University of Michigan. He's the co-founder of the Don't Leave Us Behind campaign, which seeks to stop the retention of struggling readers mandated by the Michigan law, Read by Third Grade. He, with me today, finally at the studio, so find a way to get in. So, Gabe, welcome.
Good morning.
Good morning. First, tell us, obviously you've been all around the world, we say. What made you come to Michigan?
For U of M.
Yeah.
So I was a classroom teacher, and I was looking for doctoral programs. I looked all around the country, and U of M had what I was looking for.
Okay. That's great. So if you can tell, and I'm going to go back and forth with the translation. So معي الأخ جبرائيل دلافيكيا هو مدرس كان مدرسا في عدة أماكن في العالم، منها جنوب أفريقيا وأيضا كمبوديا، وأيضا درس في مدينة بورتلاند الأمريكية، وهو الآن طالب أو معيد طالب دكتوراه في جامعة ميشيغان، ويدرس أيضا اللغة والقراءة والثقافة، يدرس هذه المواد هناك. هو أيضا لديه كامبين أو يسمى لا تتركونا بعيدا أو لا تتركونا متأخرين، وأيضا هذا البرنامج الذي أسسه الأخ جابرييل هو يريد أن يقف الرسوب أو الإعادة للطلاب. فهذا القانون الذي مرر كما أسلفت سابقا في الستيت ليجيسلاتشر أو المجلس التشريعي في الولاية سيعيد الطلاب الذين لم ينجحوا في هذا الامتحان. هناك امتحان اسمه الأم ستيب سكور أو الأم ستيب تيست، وإذا لم ينجح الطالب في هذا الامتحان يتم إعادته أو يتم عليه الإعادة للصف الثالث، إلا إذا كان فيه استثناءات والتي سنتحدث عنها قليلا. So, Gabriel, talk to us about how this law gets to be passed, and I believe Michigan is not the only state that has introduced this law.
No, absolutely not. So this has been a movement nationwide. It started in about 2002, and there's now nearly 30 states that have similar laws. Just around 20 have ones that are similar to Michigan's, where retention for struggling readers is mandated, and then about 10 have where the retention is suggested but not required. So there has been a great concern about students' reading levels, which is well warranted. Michigan has not been scoring very well on reading tests for quite some time now. Mm-hmm. So there was certainly concern that something had to be done. And this legislation has been one way of addressing those reading score gaps. So yeah, back in it actually was introduced a few times before it passed, and it was passed actually in 2016. The additional testing requirements have slowly rolled in, and then this year is the full year where it's now actually law.
Okay. So الأخ جابرييل بيتحدث عن القانون الذي تم تمريره، أنه ليس فقط في ولاية ميشيغان، وإنما هناك قانون مماثل في الولايات الأخرى، وتم طرحه على المجلس التشريعي أكثر من مرة، وكانت في نسخ متكررة، وتم تمريره السنة الماضية. So هناك نقص أو هناك تأخر في القراءة للطلاب الصف الثالث وفي الطلاب في الصفوف الكاملة، وهذا شيء معروف، ولكن هل الإعادة أو الرسوب هو الحل? Is retention the solution for these struggling readers? That's obviously what they presented, and obviously the original law was more rigorous than what the law has been passed or the law in the books right now. So can you tell us why are they suggesting that retention is a solution to make sure that students are going to do better?
Yeah. So retention is definitely not the answer. That's the short answer.
Yep.
So there's been a lot of research on retention over the last almost century. Retention has been used for an intervention for many problems in schooling, and very rarely has it shown to have any sort of positive effects. In fact, sometimes it's neutral, and most of the time research done on retention shows that it's really can be very harmful to students. Part of what the decision was made, and part of why it is third grade, is that there's kind of an outdated idea that from kindergarten until third grade, kids are learning how to read, and then from third grade on, they're reading to learn. So they're not being taught how to read anymore. Now they're using their reading skills to access other information. And so if their reading skills are poor, then they're having a harder time with other school subjects. While that may be true, the idea that we stop learning how to read when we're in third grade is absolutely false. We continue learning how to read throughout our lifetimes. Anytime you learn a new subject, you're learning new vocabulary, you're learning new things.
الأخ جابريل يتحدث عن إجابته للسؤال الذي سألته: هل الإعادة هو الحل؟ هل الرسوب هو الحل في الصف الثالث؟ وأجاب قاطعا أن الإعادة والريتنشن ليس الحل الأمثل للطلاب. يتكلم عن الطلاب منذ الحضانة ومنذ الروضة حتى الصف الثالث. المشاع أنهم يتعلمون كيف يقرؤون، وفي الصف الثالث نقول أنه ممكن أن الطالب هنا في هذه المرحلة يكون متعلما، ونقدر على إيجاز أو على امتحانه كيف هو في القراءة. ولكن هذا الشيء المشاع غير صحيح، أن الطفل ما زال يتعلم حتى في الصف الثالث, continuous learning even at third grade, and perhaps even ويمكن ربما ما زال في بداية التعلم للقراءة. So this law was passed during a time when it was called the lame duck session. So تم تمرير هذا القانون في آخر السنة عندما يكون هناك تغيير في المجلس التشريعي، ومعظم هؤلاء الأعضاء قد تمت انتهاء مدتهم في هذا المجلس. So why was it so fishy? And people were like, you cannot pass this law during this time. You should wait and study it more. But unfortunately, the legislature just kept on going and passed this law in a rush. What did the educators at the time tell the legislatures about this law?
Yeah, it's interesting that you pointed out that the law was actually more strict in its original form. When it was originally introduced, it really only had the retention piece. And as you asked before, you know, the reason part of that's in there is that legislators wanted to send a heavy message to families that they needed to take a firmer role in their students' learning, which is something, again, I very much disagree with. This law was not asked for by families. It was not asked for by educators. It's very much a political decision. Of course, there were families that were concerned about their students' performance, with good reason. But this is not the solution they were asking for. I'm sure they would love to have been asking for smaller class sizes, for more funding, more training for teachers.
Absolutely.
There's so many other things where money could have been spent that would have really shown to have an outcome for students. It's actually through the advocacy of a lot of local people that were speaking at the legislature, including some of the faculty members from the University of Michigan, adding those pieces to the law that actually we do agree with. There is some language in the law about hiring additional reading coaches for teachers, more professional development. All of these things are wonderful and will actually most likely lead to many more benefits for children than the retention ever would.
But my original question about the lame duck session.
Why did it
go through that time?
Sure, because no one's paying attention.
Okay.
So this has been a policy priority from, there's actually an organization we talk about often. It's called the Foundation for Excellence in Education. They're based in Florida. It's Jeb Bush's organization. After he left the governorship of Florida, he founded this education nonprofit, and it's one of their three main policy priorities. They travel from state to state, and they've helped pass this law in many states.
Wow. Okay. So الأخ جابريل يتكلم عن هذا القانون وكيف هو تم تمريره في المجلس التشريعي، وفي هذه المدة، في مدة نوفمبر ومدة ديسمبر من السنة الماضية، عندما يكون هؤلاء الأعضاء يتم انتهاء مدتهم أو انتهاء خدمتهم، فقاموا بتمرير هذا المشروع لأنهم كانوا يظنون أو في ضغط من جماعات تريد تمرير هذا القانون لكي يكون محاسبة للأهالي، أن الأهالي عليهم دور فعال أكثر في أبنائهم، عليهم القراءة أكثر مع أولادهم، وهذا ربما يكون حق، ولكن حق كما يقول الأخ جابريل يراد به باطل. أن يعيد طلابنا هذا الصف الثالث، والصف الثالث عندما يتم إعادته سنتكلم قليلا عن ما هي الآثار الجانبية التي تؤثر على الطفل عندما يعيد الصف أو عندما يتم الرسوب ويعيد الصف كاملا. فنتمنى من الأهالي الانتباه لهذا الشيء، لأنه شيء مهم جدا. نحن ننتبه الآن ونشوف كيف نتجنب هذا القانون. وتحدث أيضا الأخ جابريل على أن القانون في نسخته أولى كان قانون صارما جدا، وتم إضافة له بعض التعديلات التي كانت جيدة بالنسبة للمعلمين والمعلمات، أنه هناك زيادة في الناس الذين يساعدون الطلاب كالموظفين في القراءة والinstruction coaches الذين يساعدون المدرسين في كيف تحسين القراءة، كيفية تدريس القراءة للطلاب. Gabriel, we're going to take a commercial break on the radio. We're going to stay live on Facebook. I would like people to ask questions so they can call us at the radio station at 248-557-3300. Again, the number is 248-557-3300. If you have any questions about this read by third grade law, we'd love to take your call and hopefully get an answer for you. We would like, after the commercial break, to talk about the activism. What can we do right now as regular citizens? Perhaps we don't even realize it. We do have a lot of power with us as citizens. What can we do to affect this law? Hopefully to even retract the retention clause. So we will talk right about that right after this commercial break, so stay tuned.
مرحبا سعيد.
أهلا علا.
ليش هالمقابلة الفاترة هاي؟ بيقول المثل لاقيني ولا تغديني.
يمه زعلتي، شنو رأيك إذا لقيتك وأيضا غديتك بأحسن مطاعم ميشيغان، مطعم عشتار؟
والله فكرة، أفضل الأطباق والمقبلات العربية والعراقية وأحلى ملقا.
ولا تنسين اللحوم الطازجة مباشرة من ملحمة عشتار لزباين عشتار. وملحمة عشتار توفر اختيارات متنوعة من كافة أنواع اللحوم وبأسعار متميزة وجودة أيضا مميزة. ملحمة عشتار تقع على 36865 راين رود في مدينة ستيرلينغ هايت.
وأكيد أحلى لمة وأطيب لقمة في مطعم عشتار اللي عنوانه 3625 15 مايل رود في مدينة ستيرلينغ هايت. هاتف 586-698-2585 586-698-2585.
يلا علا،
يلا عشتار للجودة وكرم الضيافة عنوان
مطعم عشتار.
منظمة رحمة للإغاثة تعمل بجد وتفان بهدف خدمة الإنسانية، خصوصاً في المناطق المنكوبة بسبب الأوضاع في سوريا، وتعمل أيضاً في دول الجوار التي تستقبل اللاجئين السوريين وتقدم خدماتها الإنسانية للجميع دون أي تمييز. للتواصل مع المنظمة الهاتف رقم 248-990-4247 أو الموقع الإلكتروني rahmarelief.org.
قشات ميديترينيان ماركت بإدارة سهر قشات وأولاده يرحبون بالجالية العربية والكلدانية. جميع أنواع المواد الغذائية، البان طازجة، الكرزات والبهارات الطازجة. داخل الأسواق مطعم ميديترينيان شيش كباب يقدم يوميا جميع أنواع الكباب، المقبلات العربية العراقية وصواني الكامبو المميزة. تفتح الأسواق من 8 إلى 9 مساء من الاثنين وحتى السبت، ومن 8 صباحا إلى 9 مساء يوم الأحد. تقع الأسواق على 32839 نورث ويسترن هايوي في مدينة فارمينغتون هيلز. لحوم حلال للجالية الإسلامية. لطلباتكم من المطعم كول 248-538-7855. That is 248-538-7855. قشة ميديترينيان ماركت، خدمة متميزة ومعاملة راقية.
حكيمونا فهم في العين وافهم كمان في.
ومن بمثل خبرة الدكتور عماد نقاش أستاذ الطب وجراحة العيون في جامعة وين، خبرة طويلة في التعامل مع أمراض العيون وجراحتها، عمليات تعديل وتصفية النظر، إزالة الماء الأبيض والأسود الجلوكوما، وتصحيح النظر من آثار مرض السكر. كادر متخصص ومتدرب لخدمتكم، شعبة متخصصة للنظارات الطبية والهندسة اللاصقة، يقبلون معظم أنواع التأمين الصحي. زوروهم في عيادتهم الواقعة على جنار والناين مايل في مدينة هيزل بارك. للمواعيد اتصلوا على 248-336-3937 248-336-3937 أو عيادتهم في راجستر هولز. للمعلومات اتصلوا على 248-299-3937 248-299-3937.
And welcome back, U.S. Arab Radio listeners. This is Adel Mozip welcoming you back to the show. We're talking today about Read by Third Grade Law. And I have with me Mr. Gabriel DellaVecchia. And I'm kind of helping here with the last name. I'm hopefully by the end of the show I'll get it right. So we have a phone call and a question. So we'd like to take your call right now. Welcome to U.S. Arab Radio. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, we can hear you very clearly too. Can you please state your question?
My question is, what are the implications that this law is going to have on low-income communities and English language learners? Have there been studies, and what effects are anticipated as a result of this law taking place?
Okay. All right, so sounds good. We got your question. I'd like to repeat it for those Facebook listeners who haven't probably heard the question very clearly. What implications did this law have on low-income families and limited English proficiency families have on them? So, Gabriel?
That's an excellent question, and thank you for your question. So there's two things I can say to that. Number one, we know there's going to be a disproportionate impact on low-income neighborhoods, low-income schools, English language learners, because this law and very similar laws to it have been passed and have been in so many states. We can see those effects. So if you look at Ohio, it's very close to us, very, very similar demographically. Their law passed in 2012, and when you look at their results of who was retained statewide, it's 6% statewide, and they tout that as, only 6% of our third graders are being retained.
Like that's a good thing.
Like that's a good thing,
Yeah.
like that's not a drop in the bucket. That's
But
still,
if you look at that 6%,
when you start looking at the cities, if you look at Columbus, if you look at Dayton, it's 25%.
oh wow.
Right, you start getting into places like in 2 years ago in Euclid, right outside of Cleveland.
And those are low income.
Lower income, higher percentages of students of color, higher percentages of English language learners. So you're like, the statewide average will cover up the disproportionate impact in some of those states. So I think it was Columbus and Cincinnati together were about 1,000 of the 7,000 kids that were retained statewide.
So الأخت سمراء كان عندها سؤال عن العائلات التي لها تدني في الدخل وكيف يؤثر عليهم القانون. وقال الأخ جابريل أن هذا القانون للأسف الشديد يؤثر على هؤلاء العائلات أكثر من العائلات الأخرى. مثلا جاب مثال في ولاية أوهايو التي هي مجاورة لولاية ميشيغان أنه لا يتعدى الرسوب أكثر من 6%، وهذا القانون مرر عندهم في عام 2012، وهذا الشيء ليس جيد. 6% من الطلاب يتم إعادتهم في الصف الثالث. ولكن عندما ترى في المدن التي يكون فيها العائلات ذو الدخل المحدود تكون هذه النسبة عالية جدا ب30%، 25%، وهي نسبة عالية جدا أن يتم إعادة صف يعني ربع صف بأكمله في هذا القانون المجحف جدا في حق العائلات ذو الدخل المحدود والعائلات أيضا الملونة أو يعني غير الأفارقة والهسبانيكس والأقليات. A very good question. Do we still have the other caller on the line? Jerry, you're on the air. أهلا وسهلا.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Adel Mozip, for taking my call, and good morning to your distinguished guest, Mr. Gabriel.
Good morning.
Good. Thank you. Mr. Gabriel, this is Jerry Habba. Thank you for being in the show.
No, thank you.
Yeah. Mr. Gabriel, two questions. In Arabic, overseas, we used to have a very famous saying, في الإعادة إفادة. mean repeat is benefit for you. So my question, what is the damage for a student, or what is the problem if he repeat something he didn't get it in a class for that particular year? Don't you think when he renew the class will be better for his benefit? This is number one question. Second question is, how do you see, Mr. Gabriel, through your experience with education and through traveling to many countries, include South Africa, how do you compare education in the United States, the level, compared to those countries? I would love to hear your answer. Thank you. God bless you. Thank you, Mr. Adel Mozip.
Thank you so much, Jerry. I really appreciate your question. وللترجمة السريعة للأستاذ نجيب، يسأل الأخ جابرييل عن هذا الامتحان. الإعادة فيها إفادة كما يقولها العرب في مقولتهم الشهيرة. لماذا هذا القانون مجحف؟ لماذا الإعادة تكون مسببة أو غير طيبة للطلاب؟ يعني شيء غير محبب. بالعكس، ربما نراه أنه شيء جيد. عندما الطالب لا يعمل جيدا يتم الرسوب ويتم الإعادة. فهل هذا شيء؟ وسؤال الثاني عن مقارنته للتعليم في الولايات المتحدة والتعليم في South Africa أو في الدول الأخرى. So Gabriel, first question that he asked, hey, repeating a grade might be good for you. Is that true?
Yeah, so those are great questions. And so thank you for your questions. As far as what's the problem, what's the harm in retention, there's two different things I can say, and one is one that I don't think gets talked about very much. Is I will talk about the personal effect on the child, which I think should be our main concern, but the second one is there's actually a larger economic impact that we don't really think about. When we retain a child, when you look out to when that child should be graduating high school, we are removing them from the workforce for an additional year. So there's only been one study done on this, and it was really interesting, talking about what is the long-term economic impact when those people who should have graduated high school are being removed from the workforce from an additional year.
Yeah.
So we're looking
possibly more years.
They can only be retained once on this.
Okay, on this law.
But still, you're thinking about the fact that that's 1 year of economic activity. If let's say we retain 5,000 kids on the low end.
You're right.
5,000 people are not going to enter the workforce that were scheduled to and are not.
And the impact on the student.
The impact on the student. There was a really amazing study done a few years ago where they did a survey of children asking them about stressful life events. And retention was second only to losing a parent as a stressful life event.
Wow.
Being removed from your friends, there's the stigma that you're a failure. We can always catch you up later. I was a classroom teacher for many, many years. I had kids that came to me. I was a third grade teacher for years. I had kids in my class that read anywhere from a kindergarten level to a high school level at 8 years old. There's a wide variety. You meet them where they are.
Spectrum. Yeah.
There's a spectrum, and you differentiate. You teach them where they're at. Maybe they're struggling in reading, but they're 2 years ahead in math. Maybe they're really solid in science. We all have things we're strong with. Losing that cohesion of your friends, your peer group, and especially being labeled as failing enough that you need to be left back is really, really detrimental to kids. In fact, there's a lot of research that shows that the rates of this is supposed to boost high school graduation rates. There's a lot of research that says that, in fact, it makes kids, they're more likely to drop out.
Yeah. So التأثير الجانبي على الطلاب في هذا الشيء، التأثير النفسي للطلاب عندما يرسب صف، يكون هناك عامل نفسي كبير للطالب يؤثر عليه سلبيا نفسيا عندما يتم حصره في أنه فاشل أو أنه رسب في هذا الصف. والأخ جابريل درس أكثر من صف في مدن كثيرة، وتكلم عن أن الطلاب عندهم ممكن القراءة والليفل تبع القراءة لهؤلاء الطلاب يكون متفاوت جدا. يعني ممكن طالب يقرأ في ليفل الصف الثامن وطالب آخر ممكن يقرأ في مستوى الصف الحضانة. فهناك نسب متفاوتة جدا في القراءة. الشيء الثاني تحدث عنه هو شيء لا ننتبه إليه كثيرا، وهو الأكونوميك إمباكت، يعني التأثير الاقتصادي. إذا رأينا إلى المستقبل أنه عندما تقوم بإعادة 5,000 طالب كمثل مثلا، هؤلاء 5000 سيتخرجون سنة متأخرة في الثانوية. يعني إذا كنا نرى أن هؤلاء الطلاب يتخرجون في عام 2029 ممكن يتخرجون بعدين بعام 2030، وهذا يعني أنك تؤخرهم سنة عن دخول العمل أو دخول الجامعة أيضا، وهذا أيضا يؤثر على الدخل الاقتصادي للبلد بأكمله، أنك تؤخر مجموعة كبيرة من الطلاب عن الدخول في الحقل العملي. فترجمة سريعة، أعتذر لأنها ترجمة فورية، لست مترجما محترفا، ولكن إن شاء الله وصلت الفكرة أن هذا القانون يؤثر جدا على أولادنا وعلينا الانتباه. الآن now I'd like to for the next 5 minutes if we can understand what can we do as parents. So I'm a parent, I have a second grader, I have a third grader, I'm just saying that for example, I have a fourth grader and a first grader. So but let's say my first grader, in third grade he's going to take an exam, and if he fails this exam, the school district has only like a few days to call us and let us know, hey, your son failed the exam, he must repeat third grade. What can I do at that point? Or even better, what can I do from now to prepare my son for this, if this law will stand?
Yeah, it's great questions, and there's a lot to say there. First of all, I want all parents to even be aware that that gatekeeping exam is given. So it does the MSTEP exam, it's given at the end of third grade. Once the results are processed and are given to families, families have 30 days to respond and to request one of the good cause exemptions. There are ways to be exempt from this law. And there's a few that are more likely to be used and some that are less. So one is that if a child has been receiving English language services for 3 years or less, if they have moved to a new school where they were not receiving services before and they've been at the new school for 2 years or less, if they have an already existing special education plan in place, IEP plan, those are all ways you can be exempt that can be requested by the family or by the classroom teacher. The thing that is most important for families to know, though, is that they have to actually request the exemption. Even if your child falls within this category, it is not automatic. The family has to say, I want my child to be exempt, and then the exemption has to be approved by the superintendent.
Okay. So الاستثناءات لهذا القانون هذا لا يعني أن الطالب إذا رسب في الامتحان هذا الصف أوتوماتيكيا الطالب يرسب في هذا الصف. هناك استثناءات، وهناك استثناءات جيدة أو good cause exemptions لهذا القانون. أن الطالب إذا كان يتعلم الإنجليزية منذ 3 سنوات، يعني أتى من خارج الولايات المتحدة في ال3 سنوات الماضية، فهو معفي من هذا القانون. أيضا إذا كان عنده خطة إذا كان متأخرا في الحديث مثلا كولدي مثلا عنده IEP plan يكون معفي أيضا. ولكن لدى الأهالي 30 يوما فقط للطلب الاستثناء أو طلب الإعفاء من هذا القانون إذا ولدهم أو بنتهم كانوا في هذه الكاتيجوري أو في هذه أنهم رسبوا في هذا الامتحان. Now, I'd like to ask Gabriel, how many students, obviously the law took in effect this year, and students, our third graders, took the MSTEP test. And what was the success rate? How many passed and how many failed? And what did the state do when they realized, oh no, well, what are we doing?
So for the last 2 years, the pass rate, which means proficient or advanced on that exam, has been about 44%. So we're talking well over half of students are either partially proficient or not proficient on this exam. When it was first passed, there was a worry that if all of those children were going to be retained, it could have been up to 60,000 students. I mean, there's about 100,000 third graders in Michigan. So this past summer, Michigan Department of Education got together with some other stakeholders from the state, and they had to decide what is the cut score going to be on MSTEP. It was a big question mark for these last 2 years. Nobody knew, and some of us were afraid it was going to be tens of thousands of kids that were going to be retained. So after having some closed door meetings. I don't really know what discussions they had. They set the score after they looked at all the results, and based on projections and scores these last few years, they are projecting about 5,000 students a year will be retained.
That's still a lot.
Still a lot.
I think it's a small number, but it's still a lot, 5,000. So الأخي جابريل كان يتحدث عن الطلاب الذين رسبوا, and the success rate was 42%.
Somewhere around there,
yeah.
give or take.
And obviously in other cities, حتى if we drill down to cities like Detroit or cities like...
Detroit was 10%.
Yeah, so it's huge. If you're looking at the success rate of these students taking this exam, and we're going to talk in a little bit about this standardized exam. Is this a true measure of how our students are doing in schools, the AMS that they're taking, or any standardized exams? Does it really measure how our students doing in the classroom, or how our students really at with their reading level? So, but most importantly, when I asked Gabriel about the question regarding this test success rate, he's saying that the state actually had to go back. يعني الولاية قالت أكثر من 50,000 طالب سيتم رسوبهم إذا لأنهم سقطوا في هذا الامتحان، وهي نسبة كبيرة جدا. 42% فقط الذين نجحوا في هذا الامتحان. And I believe in Dearborn it was in the low 50s as well, so it was not even high. So our students weren't ready for this exam, and this exam is perhaps not a true measure of how our students are reading to begin with, because this exam was put together quickly. It was not well thought through, right? It was not something that our educators really had a say in it. It was mostly the state rushing it through, and the legislatures, and that's very unfortunate. هناك في سؤال عن تقصير كبير في ديربون من ناحية الباصات تبع السكول. أولادنا لا يستطيعون الحصول على المواصلات بالرغم أنه المسافة تبعد 4 إلى 5 دقائق في السيارة. أخي ناجي، سؤالك خارج الموضوع، أثمنه جدا، موضوع مهم عن المواصلات. أتمنى أن تراسلني لأنه يخص مدينة ديربون، وأنا أخدمكم في المجلس التعليمي عن هذه المشكلة، إذا كان ولدك يستحق المواصلات أو لا، أو بنتك تستحق المواصلات أو لا. للعلم أن المواصلات أو transportation is not required by the district except for special education students. So whatever Dearborn is doing right now as far as transporting students, it's because we have these resources. In other districts, unfortunately, they don't have. They tell you have to transport your kids by law. So القانون بيقول لك إنه لا يفرض على المدينة والدائرة التعليمية أنها توصل الطلاب للمدرسة إلا إذا كان الطالب ذو احتياجات خاصة. ولكن سؤالك أثمنه، ليس في موضوعنا اليوم. أرجو أن تراسلوني عن هذا الموضوع وعنوانك بالضبط عشان نشوف إذا أولادك يستحقون المواصلات أو لا. So thank you for your question. It's not talking about the subject that we're talking about today. لماذا المواصلات بكل المدن بشكل جيد عدم مدينية ديربون؟ أتمنى again your question is about transportation. We're not really discussing today transportation. I hope that you can send me your question. So I'd like in those minutes to talk about now the standardized exam, and we're going to take one commercial break. Final one, and we'll be back to talk about, is this a true measure? هل هو مقاس جيد هذا الامتحان لطلابنا في الصف الثالث والصفوف الأخرى? We will take a commercial break and we will be back with you on US Arab Radio.
شو ست الحسن شايفك قافية مجرد حالة عالم شو؟
إلي ساعة عم بستناك مشان نروح نتغدى بالشام.
الشام؟
إيه بالشام ومو بالشام.
شلون صارت هي؟
بدل ما نروح نتغدى بالشام.
إيه
جابوا لنا الأكلات الشامية الطيبة لعنا لهم.
وشلون بقى؟
هذا مطعم دماس عم يعمل كل الأكلات الشامية الطيبة هون.
وطيبة؟
طيبة كتير.
ما بدي أوافق، شرفوا نتغدى سوا بمطعم دماس.
الأكل الشامي الأصيل فقط بدماس كوزين. زوروهم على 28841 أرشد لك بفارمينغتون هيلز، ولطلباتكم اتصلوا على 248-987-4609. That's 248-987-4609. دماس كوزين and catering، جبنا لكم الشام لعندكم.
New Concept Products and Design.
بإدارة ناجي عبود. هل تحتاج فتح مطعم؟ هل تحتاج فتح محل المواد الغذائية؟ هل تحتاج تصاميم وخرائط؟ اتصل بناجي عبود على الرقم 734-744-9796. هل تريد شراء معدات المطابخ والمطاعم وبأسعار مخفضة وتسهيلات بالدافع؟ اتصل بناجي عبود الآن على الرقم 734-744-9796. خصم 5% عند الشراء ب75,000 أو أكثر على كافة المواد. لمزيد من المعلومات زوروا موقعهم الإلكتروني على
www.newconceptproducts.com
أو زوروهم في موقعهم الجديد
31185 Schoolcraft in Livonia.
ناجي عبود، العلامة المميزة في عالم المطابخ. هل تبحث عن منتجات حلال لك ولعائلتك؟ ميدمار منتجات غذائية صحية عالية الجودة وذات مذاق خاص. ميدمار لديها تشكيلة واسعة من المنتجات الغذائية الحلال. اجعل دائما ميدمار اختيارك المفضل للأطعمة الحلال. تجدونها في الأسواق أو على الموقع الإلكتروني للوكيل الحصري www.ziyad.com. ميدمار خير اختيار.
العطاء قصة رائعة، بدايتها إنسان يهتم ونهايتها إنسان يحتاج. مؤسسة الحياة للإغاثة والتنمية ومنذ أكثر من 25 عاما تحمل عطاءك إلى من يستحقه ويحتاجه بغض النظر عن الجنس أو العرق أو الدين. فأينما تكون الحاجة تجد الحياة تقدم المساعدة الطبية والملاجئ وبناء المدارس والأوار الارتوازية وبرامج كفالة عوائل اللاجئين والأيتام وغيرها حسب الحاجة. للمساعدة في استمرار هذا الجهد الكبير امنح تبرعك المعفى من الضرائب اليوم إلى منظمة الحياة للإغاثة والتنمية عبر الموقع www.lifeusa.org أو الاتصال على الرقم المجاني 1-800-827-3543.
And welcome back, US Arab Radio listeners. This is Adel Mozip welcoming you. Today we're talking about the Read by Third Grade Law, القانون الجديد لولاية ميشيغان للقراءة في الصف الثالث وإعادة الطلاب إذا لم يتم نجاحهم في هذا الامتحان. عندنا سؤال من الأخ رشيد النزيلي الذي يتكلم أو يسأل عن دور الأسرة في مساعدة الطالب وخصوصا الأسر المهاجرين الجدد وما هي إمكانيات المدرسة نفسها بمعرفة ظروف الطالب. So Gabe, what is the role of this family in helping this child and also the role of the school district to help these especially new immigrant families?
Sure. I think that one of the biggest problems with this law is that it puts so much focus on the assessment of reading and so little on the pleasure of reading. If students don't know why they need to read or don't have any reason to read, they're not going to read, you know. And so bringing back that joy and that love of reading is so essential. So families taking their kids to the library, you know, reading in the home, letting them have time to read, is just so unbelievably essential. I can't say that enough. Even in schools, when they're doing all this test prep and they're practicing how to take the test on the computer, using that same time to actually let the kids sit down with a book and understands why it's such an important skill, that would be so much more. Or, you know, thinking up, a lot of my personal work has to do with designing project-based learning. So designing a learning experience where all the subjects fit together, and your reading is a necessary component of that. If you're doing that research or whatever it may be to complete that project, now you have a reason to read, now you're going to read. Even if you don't get all the words right, like you're using it as a tool to access the information because you have something else to do. Just reading it because you want to answer a question on a test, that's not what we learn to read. We read to communicate.
So, إجابة على السريع أن الحب القراءة يجب أن يكون هو المحور الأساسي لهذا الموضوع وليس كيف أولادنا يقرؤون أو ما هو مستوى القراءة لديهم في هذا الصف. علينا أن نأخذ أولادنا إلى المكاتب، إلى اللايبريز. علينا أن نأخذهم إلى أماكن تكون القراءة محببة لديهم، أن تكون شغف، أن تكون هواية أكثر من ما هي يعني مفروضة عليهم. الشيء الثاني أنه يكون هناك أيضا projects أو مشاريع يعملوها الطلاب، ومن ضمن هذه المشاريع عليهم القراءة لكي يفهموا كيف يتم عليهم أن يقرأوا هذا المشروع أو يحلوا هذا المشروع. عليهم القراءة شيء ما، فيكون هناك شغف ويكون هناك spark in their interest in reading, and if they love reading they're going to read. If they love the subject that they're reading about, like my son loves soccer, so I got him some soccer books. All of what he's reading is about soccer. That's amazing. As long as you're reading, even حتى الأهالي الذين لا يعرفون الإنجليزية جيدا، دع أولادك يقرؤون لك بالإنجليزية لكي تتعلم أيضا ولكي يحسوا أنك مهتم أيضا. Please, even if your English is very limited, have your kids read to you. You would learn also from it, believe it or not. And not only that, you would make them feel like you're very invested in their life. So, Gabriel, about the exam, is it a true measure? Is it telling me, is my son, okay, I get, for my older son, I get the test results and he's limited proficiency. He does slightly better in math, but in reading very low. And I know, because I practice with him, he's late in speech, he has a development delay, but is it a true measure? Is this exam, like, do I take this with a grain of salt, or do I say, this is real? Like, this is really, my son is really low in reading.
It's an excellent question, and I would say take it with the largest grain of salt you can, maybe more than one. There's been a lot of research over the years that show that results on standardized tests is more related to your zip code than it is to any other metric. It has to do with demographics, income levels. And there's a lot of arguments to be made that because a lot of tests are written by older white men, the closer you are to being an older white male, the better you'll probably do on the exam. And the further your identity is from that, the example I used to use all the time was if you see an example about there was a reading. This is not the M step, but a reading assessment I had to give my students as a third grade teacher. There was one booklet. It was about baseball. If you're newly arrived, you've never seen baseball before, it's going to be a really challenging text. You don't know what's going on, and if you do know about baseball, then you're going to have an easier time with that.
Absolutely, and I'd like to add, like, I took the ACT, and that's another standardized test. And one of the questions was asking me about poker. Right, about playing cards. I never played cards in my life. So I was trying to really understand more of the question, and I see the other kid who has been here in the country for a long time and has played cards. It's an easy question for them. So most of the questions are unfortunately biased. And you're right. They're being written by people who have no way in connection whatsoever to the kids in the suburbs or kids in a colored neighborhood.
Oh, yeah. I always get frustrated. It's a pretty classic question. There'll be something about camping, which is about, you're in a tent, you go, and for your free time, you go camping. Well, for a newly arrived refugee child who's been living in a tent for 2 years, they're going to look at that question and they're going to think,
housing.
What are you talking about? Yeah, it makes absolutely no sense. So that frame of reference is number one. Number two is, as we move towards computer-based testing, some of the interfaces that they use for the kids to test, they're dragging and dropping pieces of information. They have to highlight these things. I would highly recommend any grown-up go to the M-STEP practice exam that's on the Department of Education website. You'll look at it. Even if you're a great reader, you might get questions wrong because the interface is really hard to navigate, especially for a child who doesn't have a computer at home.
سريعا الأخ جابريل يقول أن هؤلاء الامتحانات ليست true measure, ليست a benchmark. It's not a true benchmark for these students. It doesn't really tell you the grade level or the reading level of your kids. الامتحانات ممكن أن يكون هناك كثير من الانحياز الذي يكتبهم ممكن أن يكون شخص ما أبيض في الستينات في السبعينات من عمره، وعندما يكون الطالب أقرب لهذا الشخص كل ما يكون الامتحان أفضل، وعندما يكون بعيد من هذا الشخص أو لا يعرف حياته الشخصية لهذا الشخص سيكون الامتحان صعب جدا لأنه يتكلم عن أشياء ممكن غير موجودة في حياة هذا الطالب. فالامتحان ليس شيء جيد, and some students frankly they just skip over questions because they want to be done with it. بعض الطلاب بس بدهم يخلصوا الامتحان بسرعة يضل يدق يخلص الامتحان, فهو لا يقيس مدى قراءته لأنه لم يقرأ أصلا. I thank everybody for tuning in. I thank you, Michael, for administrating this show, and I thank you, Gabriel, for being with us from Ann Arbor. So thank you for driving, and people, please share this podcast. We're going to have it also on SoundCloud as well, so people can listen to it at their leisure. It's a very important topic. I hope to have more shows with Gabriel to talk about more about standardized exams. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. And please, please be involved in your kid's life. If something that I would leave you with, be involved and know your rights. Thank you so much. Have a great day.